All right, test 1, 2. Can you guys hear me? Test 1, 2. Can you guys hear me? 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. All right, so you can hear me. I'm ready. And we'll go. Fire away. Okay, all right, so the stream's good. We're going to jump into this game. All right, welcome everybody to kickoff here. I'm Jared Napolitano. We are going to stream an Outrider Cup, 2021 Outrider Cup matchup today between Matthew Harrison-Trainor and Quirin Furgut. It is going to be carbon chamber testing for dark for Matt, and communing, which apparently it is now Qui-Gon communing for light, which we were not sure of that. Hopefully I can bring an interesting, fun perspective to this stream since I am on the team, one of the Team USA members. And of course, talked a little bit of the preparation leading up to this event, which has been pretty unique and really neat with this 12-game matchup. As you can see at the top of the screen, it's currently 5-2 Europe. This is game 8. If Europe wins this, they will guarantee at least a tie, which then would lead to a match tiebreaker between two champions, one from each team. We see starting effects, pretty standard. This is carbon chamber flip. The whole Boba Fett delivers the prize to the audience chamber, gets a lot of benefits with despair. Quirin Ketwall is playing Wackling V, Saitor FS V, and we're leaving, aka the Hujix effect, we'll call it, which is it functions like the Hujix effect, or interrupt, but it's actually an effect. So obviously both these players very, very accomplished. As Matt activates one and then pulls He's All Yours Bounty Hunter, or plays that in order to pull it with the Carbonator, pulls it with the Carbonite Chamber console, which will allow Boba Fett to move for free, or any Bounty Hunter, during the turn. So this facilitates the whole first turn flip. So then Matt will have four more force to work with, since he's being given 0 icons from Quirin. Play a grabber, so we'll have some setup here. I anticipate, unless Matt misses the audience chamber pull in his reserve deck, it'll be a pretty standard turn 1. It looks like he's not going to miss the pull. This is like I said, pretty big game. USA can technically still win the remaining 5 games and win the event 7-5. It could also win 4 out of the 5 remaining and then force a tiebreaker, as I mentioned before. Despair V is deployed, which gives power +3, I guess, as long as the prize is on the table, or while it's with Scum and Villainy. And You'll Be Dead, which is pretty good that he open-handed that for Matt, since that'll start pings with Boba Fett having his blaster rifle. As we go through the stream, let me know if you can't hear, can't see. I'm going to give away a few cool prizes. A couple of Jump AI alternate image booster packs, which have 4 AIs for your digital Jump decks. And I also have a couple other special things I'm going to give away as well. So we'll do this maybe like 3 or 4 times during the course of the stream, maybe 5. So pretty standard start here. Matt hits all his pulls. He's got the blaster rifle on Boba Fett. He plays He's All Yours Bounty Hunter to move. He's going to flip, which will allow him to retrieve 1 force every control phase. And then obviously with Boba Fett V, there's usually a way to, or there is a way, unless this game text gets canceled, pull some evasion from the reserve deck, like a Stunning Leader, or Projective Telepathy, or even pull like a Hidden Weapons, which can be pretty helpful. And basically just get through these early turns, which is really important for carbon chamber testing. Once they survive the first couple turns, they can kind of start establishing and going wider on the board. No secret to anyone's familiar with this matchup. U3PO, good old A New Hope 1996 card will play a big part in this matchup. To what extent can Matt block that drain at the Carbonite Chamber, since that's where light side mains of any sort, including communing builds, will want to go. And first turn Rey, which is pretty good. He gets a use pile pull. He'll presumably pull Anakin's Lightsaber V from the reserve deck. Rey is just such a good card. She fits in so many decks, and with that whole, I think the phrase people use is card advantage, where not only do you get the use pile pull to expand your hand and possibly get likely get a good card you need, but then you're also able to just constantly scavenge the bottom card of your force pile, which works really well with communing, which allows you to peek at the top card of your force pile and move it to the bottom if you want. So if it's something good and you have Rey out, you move it to the bottom, you draw it with Rey, and you have it. Quirin gets out the Jedi Council Chamber. He's going to play Rebel Leadership V, probably to pull General Leia would be my guess. But this is a pretty good start for Quirin. He's going to now start trying to put pressure on, start getting threatening a drain of 3, I should say. Now at the same time, Matt is threatening 3 damage as well because the Despair adds 1 to the Force drains where Jabba's prize is. Makes characters deploy +1. He's also going to get a ping from You'll Be Dead, and this is obviously 1 icon, so it's going to be, someone's going to pull Battle Plan here, or Battle Order, probably Quirin. The activation advantage is by 2, 10 for Quirin, 8 for Matt. That's Carbon Chamber Testings. I think it's one of its weaknesses is that it doesn't have a ton of activation. It's got some alternative means, like the Carbonite Chamber console allows you to activate 1 on light side's turn. You can also get out, wipe them out. But other than that, and now HUD is usually the system that it plays. Maybe you'll see a bridge sometimes, but as Quirin loses 1 to the ping, he throws away battle planes. Definitely a matchup where light side does not want to be putting out a lot of battlegrounds, because probably the most important thing of this game for Dark is either to stop that drain at the Carbonite Chamber with U-3PO, or to somehow turn on Resistance, which would then cap that drain down to 2. Because this matchup, which we've seen a few times, we saw it, I think, in the OCS top 4, maybe even the top 2. I think it was Matt versus, maybe I'll get mixed up at the final. Definitely in the top 4 between Joker King and Silver Glen. And a lot of times Lightside just wants to throw, some pretty big characters at the Carbonite Chamber with lightsabers, threaten a drain of 4, maybe even 5 if you get Anakin's, Luke's. And, sometimes you might even see a Qui-Gon's or a Mace Windu's lightsaber. This is good for Matt in that he gets to row V out, who then automatically pulls IG-88 V, who will allow Matt to then constantly pull a card from his force pile, whatever is most appealing, most needed at the time. Early game, a lot of times, there might be some pretty... I feel like finding activation is really important early, but of course it always is, but in this matchup especially, because then Carbonite Chamber or Carbon Chamber testing has the advantage of being able to get cards back with its objective, unless Simple Tricks is out, which requires Darkseid to activate 2 battlegrounds. It also has Scum, which every time they initiate battle, it retrieves 2, but that usually, CCT doesn't usually want to start battling until maybe, turn 3, 4, 5. Once it starts picking up, or collecting characters, if it weathers an early storm, I feel like it's usually pretty hand-starved early on. But, Quirin's definitely going to be paying 3 to drain for 3 at the Carbonite Chamber here. No worry about, Enter the Bureaucrat, because that only works on light side locations. And again, this is doesn't matter differential, it's just whoever wins the game. So whether you win by 1 or 30 counts the same for purposes of the competition. And Quirin's going to draw a card from the bottom of his force pile with Rey. Drain for 3 here, I'm sure. So it'll be a question, as always, how many answers, and is Quirin able to find them for U-3PO, or conversely, the game plan could be, if you're Matt, you just kind of don't stress that, and you just try to get to Nal Hutta, turn on satisfy battle plan, and then maybe try to invade the Carbonite or the Council Chamber to threaten a drain of 3 and force Quirin to dedicate resources to trying to pluck off Matt's characters from there. Wow, Matt lost 3 straight Twilight Advisor V off the top. Wow. And that, of course, is, to pull the passenger deck, which is another key activation. That's pretty nuts. As Quirin plays Wisakata Grand Army to pull Boss Nash Chambers. Nope, he missed it. Because obviously he threw away the battle plane, so he was looking for the 1 card, presumably, the Boss Nash Chambers. So that's something good that Matt might need it. I think the approach was, so obviously when the matchup was announced, it was just communing. We as Team USA didn't know if it was Yoda communing or Qui-Gon communing. I think there's kind of 2 varieties of the Yoda communing. You'll see, I think you'll see some space builds, some ones that are kind of more balanced, and then you'll see more ground builds, Greg Shaw played at Worlds, for example. I think Worf's played a pretty balanced one, and then Qui-Gon communing is usually much, much more ground-based. And you know, Jedi Masters, lots of battle tricks. You know, it's a classic mains deck with Jedi Masters, since Qui-Gon doesn't like to play Rebels, so that, you know, knocks out like a lot of Obi-Wans and definitely all Jedi Lukes. You could do Old Man Luke, Jedi Master Luke, and get out some other cool Jedi Masters like Plo Koon or Kit Fisto, obviously Mace Windu. But you can't play Qui-Gon since he's over here. You can play a couple of Yodas. That's usually what I think the expectation on Qui-Gon Communing is. As Quirin pulls Simple Tricks, so that's like the Come Here You Big Coward for anyone not familiar. It will prevent Matt from retrieving one with his objective. As he has 10 cards in his force pile, he's going to fish a card with IG-88. So yeah, what I was saying was kind of like preparing and anticipating, is it depends on the build. Depends how many, you know, if and when Matt gets U3PO out, you know, how you could have some pretty interesting battles here at the Carbonite Chamber. Usually it's not the best idea for light side to go at the audience chamber, since dark has a lot of things going in its favor there. All characters are deployed +1. They could do stuff like None Shall Pass. They can, you know, play Stunning Leader since it's an interior site. And then, you know, obviously it's very important that dark side holds this so they can make sure Scum and Villainy does not get canceled. So here comes a drain of 3. Or not drain of 3. Total damage of 3. A drain of 2. Quirin tosses Run Luke Run. And the Imperial Barrier Canceller, Bith Shuffle, Desperate Reach. Here comes Jabba's Haven. Let's see if Matt's going to deploy from reserve deck Nal Hutta this turn, or if he has it somewhere else. Let me give away something. Let's see. So Quirin was the runner-up for the 2020 Worlds. As Stinger comes out to Nal Hutta. What decks did he play in the final confrontation? What decks did Quirin play in the final confrontation in the 2020 Worlds against Joe Olson? And we have a winner. I probably should have done a little more lead up. All right, so Eric wins. And so I'll get you a... Let me write this stuff down so I don't forget. As Stinger comes out, and Matt is in his draw phase drawing. Let's see. All right, so... I'll get you a GIMP. Let's do a Series 2-pack. We'll do a couple more. Maybe even up to... Dan, I think, gave away 5 or 7 or something the other day, which is great. Because those GEMP AI packs are great, but what we try to do, as Matt activates one on his turn, you know, have them go for like 6 to 12 months, and then cycle in new AIs. And then as they get a little older, you know, we don't have to be... The point is to encourage online play. People can play in their... Put them in their online decks. But you know, after a while, they're, you know, a little less exclusive, a little less fresh, so we try to make them more accessible. Series 3 just came out, so those are, you know, a little harder to get since we're trying to give them out for current events, encourage current participation. We have another drain of 3 here. Didn't everyone play that? So like the Jawa Cup, Outrider Cup, OCS playoffs, the Gem PC, everyone will get one. Just got to make sure from Batmouse, as we'd see Chelly, Stunning Leader, and Jodocast. Chelly's probably pretty helpful in this deck for U3PO if needed to recur him from Lost Pile. And we have Old Man Luke come out to the Carbonite Chamber. So Matt, you know, either he probably has like a barrier. You know, there's a chance that, you know, whatever Quirin Space Package. I mean, Matt did get a Verify earlier, so maybe you kind of saw, like, is there a Tanif? Is there a Fly Casual? Is there a Han Chewie Falcon? You know, what exactly type of space package? So a lot of times I'm seeing more and more main stacks that just completely punt space. So if that's the case, you know, Matt doesn't want to deploy any more than he has to, because every card can matter in these really, really high level competitions. Of course, Matt won just 2-3 months ago the 2021 Online Championship Series, defeating teammate Silver Glen in the finals. That game was the match was played on Thanksgiving. But 2022 OCS now open. There's just an article posted on the StarWarsCCG.org about the 2022 OCS, so everyone can sign up for that. Looks like Quirin's kind of thinking on what exactly to do. He's got 3 cards left. So the OCS is really good way to get better, really good competition, and really unique opportunity that didn't exist like 6 years ago, where you could play, kind of at whenever you want in a competitive event, win prizes from your own home against people across the globe. It's just a really, really great concept. And I think it's doing really well now entering its 5th year. Matt's going to play a shield. It's Come Here You Big Coward. And out comes Aim High. Now that Matt is on 2 battlegrounds, he will be able to satisfy simple tricks. All right, let's see, another giveaway. This one's going to be really unique, so I'm going to give a little prepper in the chat. Another giveaway coming up. And now Quirin does find Boss and Ash Chamber. So he's starting drain of 4, and this is the thing, like, to what extent can Matt either stop this drain somehow with an Undercover Spy, or get resistance, which, like, isn't probably going to happen, because there's not likely going to be more battlegrounds coming out, unless, like, Presence of the Force, which I don't know. Oh boy, here. So this is now threatening drain of 5. So now Matt kind of needs to make a couple decisions here. Either he needs to get Undercover Spy and probably some type of protection, like imbalance combo to protect against her at the mess, or he needs to just start throwing people at the Carbonate Chamber to block the drain and get into battles, and force Quirin to dedicate resources that way, while he can hopefully, for his sake, chip away at Quirin's life force with the drain of 2 and the drain of 1 and the ping of 1. All right, so I have these really unique things, which may or may not be a what's the word I'm looking for? Precursor to some more prizes coming up. So I have this. If anyone likes white border cards, this is a white border AI foil Captain Rex, 501st Legion, and this is from a couple years ago. Actually, this might be the border. There was a border breaking one, I think, but this might have just been a couple of online play weeks ago. So I'll give this away if you really like white border cards. As Matt grabs a card with IG88, we'll do. Let's see. So MHT. We'll make this one kind of difficult. So MHT won the 2020 Texas Mini Worlds Players Championship. Let's see. What should I ask? What light side deck did he play in the final against Mr. Greg Shaw? Which, as Greg Shaw is the last comment, maybe I'll do 2. I'll do another one as well. So, because Greg obviously will have I was kind of thinking, it's kind of coincidence. But yeah, whoever's second, I'll get a prize too. All right, so Crazy Carl OSU. Send me, I'm not sure, send me a PM on the forums or Slack with your info, and or especially like your jump name. But yeah, so the disarm package, obviously Obi-Wan's Journal prevents that. It also prevents force bonuses from being canceled, which like stops like Imperial Decree from doing that. Oh no, I'm sorry. Lightsabers force drain modifiers. That's a good rules question. Are those are force drain bonuses also force drain modifiers? No, because I don't think it does stop Decree. Decree could still reduce. Not that Imperial Decree is going to be in carbon chamber testing, but all right. So Crazy Carl will get maybe one of the other ones, or maybe some packs. I feel kind of bad. It was kind of coincidence that Greg had the last comment, and he would know firsthand what Matt played. But I have a bunch more stuff. So. All right, so Matt's taking his time to think exactly what he wants here. 13 cards. Like I said, he's got to either... I don't think resistance is going to be an option, so it's either, maybe risk putting U-3PO out at the risk that he might get killed, but he could retrieve Chelly with Jabba's Haven. So that'd be the backup plan, maybe to get U-3PO, but the resistance isn't an option. You could do U-3PO, or you could throw, a bunch of aliens here. But Quirin's got 11 cards in hand. He's going to activate 14, so he can presumably throw down 3-4 pretty strong characters. Kind of have a pretty big battle at the Carbonite Chamber. So Quirin throws away Speak with Jedi Council to the You'll Be Dead, Jar Jar Binks, and Chewie Bowcaster both lost off the top, another Ray. So that's 3 characters. Life Force 25-26. Matt has 1 less card in hand. So this is very, very even, still early on. Only Darkseid's control phase of turn 4. Yeah, that's a good idea too, Greg. Maybe he just plops some characters at the Carbonite Chamber, maybe as like a Gick, but also as backup, but then has a Stunning Leader. And this is a plan that we kind of discussed, or I think Matt might have been a little more partial to, is just trying to invade the Jedi Council Chamber, because that would really put him ahead in the damage race. Like I said earlier, kind of force Quirin to... Okay, so Ortug, yeah, so anytime I see this guy, he just screams the disarm package, because that's like the main reason to use him, because he's got a permanent weapon, so he can play disarmed. So maybe that's what Matt kind of calculated. Like, look, he might have two disarms in his hand, whatever it might be. He's not going to be able to do the disarmed route to take over the Carbonite Chamber. So maybe he's going to put a bunch of guys here. Hopefully, for his sake, enough to fight through any type of attack, fight through a Battle Destiny or two, and then maybe try to counterbeat as he might need to just fish out cards from his force pile as the game flow goes. Yeah, impressive, most impressive virtual cancel Stunning Leader where Lightside has a Jedi. Alright, so I could do another giveaway too. Alright, so this will be... Alright, so I have here, as Quirin checks the top card of his force pile, this is a white border stolen data tapes AI. So the card that you need for Diplomatic Mission to Alderaan. So we'll do another giveaway. I just gotta think of a question. As Quirin uses the card cycling technique with Communing Qui-Gon, after he peeks at the card, must have been something he wanted, since he then just drew into it. Alright, so I'll do... Here comes a drain of 5. That's a lot. That's a big force drain. Maybe I'll just type it in the chat so everyone kind of has the same. So he's going to lose Gamal Wireneck, Slave 1, Dengar, EPP Dengar V, he's all ears Bounty Hunter, and Woof. So not like a U3PO, nothing like huge. Matt's got 10 cards in his lost pile. Kieran's got 9. Name the 2 decks. Alright, so the question went to the chat. That's for the white border AI foil stolen data tapes. Yeah. Yeah, Bill's got it, but keep answering. Let's see if we get another one. I can give out more stuff. I'll at least give out some more AI packs. Well, I take that back. There's one more deck that I know was played 2+ times. If anyone can name that last one. As Quirin plays Rebel Leadership, but whiffs. So that's another verify for Matt. Quirin cycling a bunch of cards. There's a Darkseid deck that was played 2 times in the Jawa Cup top 8. If anyone can name it. First next person to name it will get AI Series 2-pack. I don't think Hunt Down was. I don't think AOBS was. I think it was Invasion, but I'll double check this. I'll write this down in order. So Hunt Down was a lot here. All right, I can check this later. But I'm pretty sure it's Invasion. I'm pretty sure Triumph Forks will win it. But I'll verify that. Alright, so Quirin plays Wisa just to cycle it again, another verify. So here we have beginning of Matt's turn 5. He's threatening 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. So even though Quirin's got 5 damage at the carbonate chamber, Matt's got 7 and he's retrieving 1. And if they start battling, that'll help Matt get some force back. At the very least, you would think. Let's see, 22, 22. They're dead even on cards face down. Quirin's got 7 more cards in hand, but he's about to take a round of damage. So Matt will pull slightly ahead here. If this is just a strict race, you got to think it probably favors Matt. Yeah, so Bill confirmed me. I thought it was Invasion because I know Adam and Jellison both played it. Here comes an It Could Be Worse for 3. Interesting. That's a good card for any deck that can cycle. I always like playing It Could Be Worse. Like Diplo can play Vanded Willard, or obviously No Idea can play Vanded Willard V, or obviously Prophet with 3PO. Any deck that plays 3PO. I don't like playing it in anything that you can't cycle it. Like I've seen it played sometimes in like Yavin 4 Ops without a natural way to cycle it. Alright, so that's a big help to Quirin in kind of this math race. And we have another Wisa tossed. We have a Rebel Barrier lost from use pile and another Old Man Luke. And now Matt will fish a card out. So obviously if this is just a strict race, again, this is going to favor Matt because he's much more likely to hold battle plan. Again, I'm not sure. We don't know exactly what Quirin's space package is. But obviously I would be shocked if Matt didn't have like a barrier, maybe even 2 in his hand, to protect that stinger. There's no downside to transiting a rifle. Yeah, you usually see that. You usually do see that because it's more likely to stay on IG-88 than stay on Boba Fett, because IG-88 can cancel the weapon destiny. Maybe it just slipped his mind, or maybe there's a particular reason why. But that's usually what I see with carbon chamber testing flip, that the gun gets moved to IG-88. Yeah, that's another key point Chris just spoke. At some point, Matt, especially, well, it depends on the late game. Aiming high will be out, so we have to pay for it. But at some point, the opportunity might present itself for Matt to throw the captive into the dungeon and retrieve 2. Thing with that is then, the prize wouldn't be with scum, so you lose the +3 bonus to power. Your force drain then becomes 1 at the dungeon at a non-battleground, which probably is fine. And then it only becomes 1 at the AC. You do that, you move that, and then if Quirin has like a spy, that could be trouble. So, it's kind of a delicate, you got to pick the right time to do it. You don't want to do it while Quirin can still threaten and, beat down, because if prize goes out of play, that's a couple damage. I guess it's just 1, but bigger, more important, so it might be an opportunity for Quirin to force some battle damage overflow. Although again, Matt probably has a stunning leader. He's probably got he's probably got some evasion in his hand. YBD is You'll Be Dead. It's this Dr. Vazin up here. It's the forces the ping if 1 force for each battleground you control with a non-permanent blaster. So now Matt's going to use Jabba's Haven to retrieve a card. I'm going to bet it's Chelly. Alright, so yeah, Dragon Force. He gets Gamal Wyronik back into hand, which, fun fact, this is the underlying card for the Tragedy of Plagueis, which is a new set 17 card, and it's a pun for the underlying card by the proofing team of ironic, like ironic could save, what's the phrase, couldn't save himself from dying. So that's a proofing team comes up with a lot of those cool underlying card choices. But the non-V, or the non-underlying card, this, he can go in your use pile, right, to cancel. Yeah, so he's pretty good. While Gamal's in battle, your other characters present with him may not be targeted by your opponent's weapons. So they have to hit him first, and then he goes to the use pile once he's hit. So Matt's, he's probably going to win this if he just stays on these 3 locations, obviously. Quirin's got to contest. If he kicks him out of space, then that's a way for simple tricks then would be activated because Matt wouldn't be on 2 battlegrounds. Or if he fights him at the Jedi Council Chamber and stops that drain of 3, then Matt's damage is only 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's draining for 5 at the Carbonite Chamber. So this will be interesting. This is one of the matchups it's been really interesting seeing people's approaches towards matchups, because sometimes I think what I think is the opposite of others, and not that I know everything, but it's interesting seeing a couple different really good players have different opinions on what should be favored. But a lot of times it's what the draw is, what the build is. There's a lot of different variations. So Matt's now got a 5th character here in Jango Fett at the Council Chamber, so he's just fortifying this. And even if he puts, he can't even play Jyn Air, so I was going to say an undercover spy here. Probot would just cancel. So it doesn't look like Quirin's going to be able to, he's going to have to fight it, put it that way. No players could pick, there was a restriction that you had to play 6 different decks for each team, essentially. 6 players, 6 different decks. It couldn't be 6 ISB operations or stuff like that. Matt's going to use IGD8 to grab a card from his 4 or 5 card force pile. So Communing was one deck that could be used. You couldn't have a Yoda Communing and a Qui-Gon Communing. Just a public service announcement. The next scheduled Outrider Cup game is tomorrow at 4. That's between Bastion, who's going to be playing Legend, versus Paul Myers, who's going to be playing the Steel. That's a matchup I think favors Legend, but because the 7 side caps the immunity to 5. But yeah, you never know. I think one of the things is, this deal used to be kind of the Imperial Entanglements deck. It's kind of just got ported over. Legend kind of had to strike it relatively fast. If it waited too long, Darkside could just reinforce. And it can, what was really trouble, Legend can get Poe and Profundity or a Falcon, and it's an all wings report in combo to spin and just kick them out of space by turn 2. They need a barrier cancer a lot of the time. You need something to get around. The old Imperial Justice, as Matt plays Oppressive Enforcement, so he's got both. Since Ultra Shield's out, he's going to play Master Move to pull the Gick. So this whole time he has not had Gick in his hand. So if you're Quirin, you definitely are he's got the barrier for the space. Or, sometimes in these matchups too, you just kind of say, this matchup doesn't favor me, someone's got to take some risks. So maybe you just put Stinger there and just made a very calculated bet that Quirin had 0 space. That could also be a route. Here comes another hefty drain of 5. No, I was told, I was advised that I should play Black Sun and Prophet. Since this is the decks I'm most familiar with, most comfortable with. So Black Sun was the one I thought about trying to be hey guys, can I play Shadow? Because that's the other deck I think I've played a lot and I've been pretty decent with, but I think that has, against Communing, we kind of thought there was going to be a lot of mains. I think both sides kind of anticipated a lot of mains with the, set 17, set 16 with Communing. Out comes BB-8, so this is going to be another source of damage for Quirin. So now he's going to be forcing 6 damage. But obviously this race is going to turn at some point if Quirin can never satisfy battle plan. At some point when it gets close, assuming the damage is pretty equal, he's going to have to choose between forcing damage or actually, using the force to do something. But yeah, I've played Black Sun and Prophet a lot. I need to switch him up for a little bit. All right, so Quirin's going to draw a bunch. He's now got a huge hand, 16 cards hand. He's only got 14 face down, so he's either searching for something or maybe like the It Could Be Worse was grabbed by Matt a while ago. On the timer, they're pretty close. Matt's 4 minutes behind, but still plenty of time here. Another cycled Wisa. And we're going to go to Matt's turn 6. Let's do another giveaway. Let's see. So I just said the 2022 OCS starts in, 2 weeks? February 1st. A lot of people... hold on 1 second. So I just don't want to miss any key point in the action as I'm giving away stuff. But we'll do... I should get like a tougher question. All right, we have another cycled Rebel Leadership V. Yeah, It Could Be Worse is on it. All right, so I have an idea for a giveaway. I have another White Border AI foil. This is the Coruscant Nightclub, which is pretty cool. White border goes on top of your White Border Tatooine Cantina. Light goes in some Jedi business decks as Quirin loses a Mace Windu and a Baragwin. That's interesting. I guess with all the devices and green cards to get them back. And a Leia's blaster rifle on top of the lightsabers. The Obi-Wan's journal. There's probably bionic hand somewhere. And out comes Virgins in the Force. Why was that a drain of 3? What did I miss? On Jabba's Palace audience chamber. Oh, what am I missing here? Force drain 3 at the Jedi Council chamber. Oh, I bet this is some weird glitch. But he can't put... Oh, I got you. Right. You don't necessarily have to put it on the location that you got hit for the drain of 3. That's right. Yeah, so now he's going to take this down from 2 to 1. So that could be pretty important, that he just put out an immediate effect, but that's going to be 1 less damage per turn. That's right. All right, so for the White Border Coruscant Nightclub, I'll type this one in the chat so people watching and listening both have a chance. All right. Okay, so there's another question. Quirin loses blaster deflection to the ping. And yes, so Silver Glen will receive the nightclub. Alright, so I have one more White Border AI foil I can give away. Maybe I should save that. I'll save that for... I'm actually streaming tomorrow night's top 4 game between Ryan Jellison and Jason Rindu for the Java Cup. So I'll save that. But I'll show it to everyone here just to tease it. This is the Jeddah City White Border AI foil. This was, I think it was an OCS foil a year or 2 ago. So we'll save that one. But I could still give out some other stuff. Alright, so Matt's going to fish out a card. 12 cards in his force pile to pick from. Again, still about a 4-minute difference. 15 to 14. They have the same amount of cards in hand. Again, they're going to trade damage a while, but I think when this gets really tight at the end, it's going to favor Matt unless something changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 6. So it's going to be even, but they're both doing 1 free damage, we'll say. But whereas, 5 out of the 6 damage that Quirin's forcing are going to be dependent on him paying 3 each turn. Yeah, that's a good point, Justin. Kind of like what the In football, the AFC, it was like, what, Roethlisberger, Brady, and Manning. Between the three of them, they won like the AFC Championship like every year in like a 15-year stretch, except for the one year that Joe Flacco won. Might be talking another language for some European players that don't follow the NFL, but I remember that was like a stretch where it was like the same three teams, or the same three quarterbacks every single year. Or like NBA, like Duncan, Kobe, and who else? Duncan, Kobe for the West. But yeah, so Matt's taking his time here to decide, probably a crucial card that he's trying to decide. You know, a lot of times you'll see, I'm not positive Matt has it in here, but like projective telepathy is often, that card really helped me in my matchup against Timo last week. Really good for late game stuff like this, where he could, you know, possibly force Quirin to pay 5 force to get a drain through, or to initiate a battle if he really needs to do that. He's going to retrieve hidden weapons, it looks like, with his objective. All right, I'll do another trivia question. I'll give away an AI Series 1 pack. I'll just announce this one. I won't do this one in the chat. Here comes Dr. E. All right. So this is interesting. I wonder if he's going to just... I mean, and Ponda. We know he has the Gik. So I'm... And Jodocast. Okay. So this is more than just put any guy here and then just Gik him. Looks like he might be trying to... P59. Okay, so he can like shoot like BB-8, for example. He might even battle this turn. Am I crazy? He could do an attrition destiny, a shot. He's just going to pass. He's probably got a disarm, but disarm isn't going to do anything because Obi-Wan's journal's here. Characters present armed with unique lightsabers may not be disarmed. So yeah, both these guys are protected, obviously. All right, so the other trivia question is, name someone who won the Texas Mini Worlds in person, so not like the online one in 2020. Name somebody who won the Texas Mini Worlds. You know, I think there was a bunch from like 2008 through like 2018 maybe they had an event. And Chris Kelly gets it. So he'll get an AI pack. And yeah, Greg won one too, so we'll get Greg one also, as he answered himself. Good call. Yeah, I think Baroni won 2. Greg might have won 2, actually. I don't think Haight ever won a Texas Mini Worlds. Haight won Nationals in 18 and Worlds in 16, I think it was. All right, so we get the ping with BB-8. So this was, you know, a really good game plan here by Matt. Not that it's over by any means, but just gradually force the damage, and then at some point late in the game, he tried to stop this huge drain at the carbonite chamber. I think Brian Fred won one. All right, and Kieran's gonna fire Luke's lightsaber at Jodocast. At this point in the game, with all the cycling that Kieran's been doing and drawing and cycling use interrupts, probably really good destiny in there. So this will take out a hidden weapons possibility. But, you know, like P59 shooting BB-8 here would be pretty big because 2 damage, takes away the ping for future turns for Quirin. Some interesting thing about the Outrider Cup, if people haven't been following close attention, the Dark Side started out 5-0. 4 of those were European games, but yesterday there were Light Side won 2 out of 2 games played. So that was interesting. So Jodocast is going to go to the lost pile here. And we'll see what happens. Going to Kieran's battle phase. Yeah, here comes a battle. Stunning leader. And that'll just end the battle unless Quirin has a canceller of some sort. So it's grabbed by Quirin so it doesn't get cycled, because I guess there's probably a way that he could then retrieve it, maybe track it around. Or yeah, even just next turn. Yeah, maybe if he has to. So battle end here because Lightside doesn't have any presence with just BB-8. And this is this is looking really good for Matt right now. Just a reminder, if you don't follow PC on Twitch, I recommend you to do so. A lot of these games we've been having kind of auto hosting, but there's been plenty of promotion to let people know the game. But you get notifications when you follow. Most of the streams are from the actual PC account. The auto hosts don't seem to have the notification, but it's definitely always available. And there's just a lot going on in the game right now as we have a drain of 3 here. Outrider Cup's got a big control here from Quirin to take that, essentially lose 1 card instead of 3. Outrider Cup, Jewel Cup top 4. We got the Gem PC going on. Started with 110 players. Looks like that's starting to approach 32 players. The actual Match Play Championship in person this weekend. I'm not going to be playing, but I should be able to come by for a bit. Drop off a lot of prizes. Say hi to people, especially ones I haven't met in person yet. All right, so we have Quirin tosses away the Battleground, the Thief Palace Generator. Okay, Sebastian says they're going to play on Wednesday. So there's 2 games that haven't been scheduled yet, and the deadline to play is really like end of day on Wednesday, so hopefully those all get played. Especially right now, it looks like we have none scheduled for tomorrow then. So there could be pretty crazy. It might be a full day slate for the streaming team, which, fortunately for Dan's sake, he might have to do a lot of streaming on Wednesday. Our stream team leader, Dan Tartaglione, there could be as many as 4 games. Well, 1 game is tomorrow night, late night Pacific time. Joe is playing Crypto at 10 p.m. Pacific. And then, so there might only be, what will that be? This is 8, 9. There might be 3 games on Wednesday. That might not be too bad. The Bastion Paul match, and then the 2 games that haven't been scheduled yet one's between Justin Desai and Miguel Taran Vegas, and the other one that isn't scheduled yet is Joe versus Silverglen. If either of them are in the chat, when are you guys playing? Silverglen, when are you playing Joe? Yeah. All right, so Matt's going to retrieve Jotocast. He's now at 14 cards face down versus Quirin's 12. They have the same amount of cards in hand. So board state definitely favors Matt, and he's got a couple more cards. And yeah, the board state big time favors Matt, because he's probably going to put another character or 2 just to try to stalemate him at the Carbonite Chamber. So this is interesting. So I know Bastion made one comment that he didn't feel his build, which we'll see. Obviously not asking for any information, but I know he said some comment in the reveal show about his Legend versus Paul's deal might not be quite as favored for Legend as some Legend builds are. That comes Mighty Jabba and Mitt, also Threed, 2016 World Champion Tom Haid is the cosplayer for this card. And now Bastion's saying that Miguel is a serious underdog. So I know the one big question there is if Miguel's let the Wookiee win V, which could be a lot of different things, but one of the things it might be is that new Anakin's Funeral Pyre, which helps in the matchup against Bring Him Before Me. I don't play those decks too often, but I know there's some inherent advantage. I got to read the card again exactly. Maybe if Chris Kelly's in the chat, he can say exactly why, or anybody else, why the Funeral Pyre tilts that matchup a lot. I think it allows light side to play that shield. There's another or something like that. It definitely makes it helps light side against it. But if it doesn't play that card, it changes it. So Matt's just gonna pass here. Not a lot of upside in battling. Just better for him just to keep all his characters here. So it looks like Quirin's making a comment like at least there's some battles here in the end. So I think he's more or less acknowledging that Matt has it. But yeah, let me give away another card, another giveaway. And I don't know, I have a lot of these. Some of you guys might be familiar with these hyperroute navigation charts. So we gave these out at Worlds. We're gonna give them out at. I mean, I'll give out some at the NPC for people who play. I've been including them in prize support packages, but definitely want to give this to people that might not, attend it or be able to attend in-person events. So let's just do another trivia of name. Let's see. I'll do it in the chat. And I'll try to make this one as open as possible, not necessarily people who are like historians of the game. Maybe if you're newer to the game, you might be just as able to answer this one. Because I definitely want to get... Okay, we have ceasefire to cancel. Sorry about the mess. I know Matt mentioned he has at least one of them in here. So we saw a couple of these yesterday in that game with Desai and Crypto. I think 2 of them got stacked on the sand effect. Funeral Pyre can help versus bring before me if you don't like 6s. Okay. All right, so here's what will be. It's going to be a name 4 things. Will be this last trivia question as we have this battle here at the Carbonate Chamber. So again, this will be something that anyone who is a fan of Star Wars should be able to answer. So name 4. Here we go. Whoever gets this will get an AI pack and a hyperroute navigation chart. All right, so Kieran's going to fire at Mitt. Ugh, Chris, you already got one. Oh, actually, maybe you don't have one. No, maybe you do. Keep typing them in. I'll give away a few of these. This won't just be the first person. As Mitt gets sliced here. We got Wayne. We got Jerome. Ponda Bob is going to add a destiny to attrition. Yep, those all check out. Connor. So these will be Series 1 AI packs and hyperroute charts. Although some people might already, like I know Connor already has one. I usually include these, so these aren't like super exclusive, but just to get them to people that might not have them already. Anakin's lightsaber is going to fire at Ponda Baba. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, Callus is one. I didn't think of the dark side. In my head, I was thinking name the actual rebels or heroes, but yeah, my question was rebel show characters. So yeah, good one, Crazy Carl. So you get extra. Let me get your jump name. Actually, I probably have it somewhere in the Rolodex, but just to be safe. So yeah, all right. So thanks to everyone. So I got a bunch of notes here on who's getting AI packs and hyperroute charts and white border AI foil cards. Matt's gonna draw hidden weapons for Weapon Destiny. We subtract 1. Just to cycle it, he's still gonna hit, right? And that's gonna cause a ping of 2. Ah, that's right. Yeah, so this card is, and it's a very weirdly worded card. Your character's present may not be discerned once per battle and cancel weapon destiny just drawn. So targeting anybody, not necessarily targeting themselves. Okay. My player card pulls this. And one of the things I commented on the forum is like, when I designed Return of the Jedi V with the help of the player card design team, like Obi-Wan's Journal wasn't nearly as played. Like the card was kind of like solidified, and then Communing came out, and also like it pulled Obi-Wan's Hut, but Obi-Wan's Hut V is a little less of a liability than Obi-Wan's Hut, since it's not a drain 3, it's a drain 2. Yoda's drawn, he's +1 because of the Communing epic event, so he's a 5. Rey adds 1, so 6. So this is going to kill 3 or 4 of Matt's characters, but I think this is mostly just a moral victory here. Okay, it's just Crazy Carl. Got it. That's your jump name. I think everyone else I have your jump names. All right, so Greedo and Space Cruiser. Cad is the Destiny to Attrition. And Kieran's going to lose Rey. Anakin's lightsaber. And it's going to be Matt's turn coming up. He's going to deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. Retrieve 1. And then he could like throw somebody down to pair with Mighty Jabba. Just to get a scum retrieval possibly, or maybe he just puts some more characters there and just says go. Better do that and give up the drain. So yeah, so this is going to take it to 5-3 Europe. Like I said, we'll have, yeah, so Matt's going to win, and Kieran concedes. Good game, both players. All right. Okay, so Matt wins. That's another dark side victory, which is now, what is that, 6-2 so far? If I'm doing that right? I don't know. Yeah, so good game to both players. Again, this is 2020 Outrider Cup. JNAP here. Thanks for everyone for watching the stream. I have some notes here on who won some prizes. Thanks for viewing. Stay posted to the Twitter and other social media to stay tuned on when the match is going to be played, because of course they sometimes get rescheduled and moved around a little bit. But I know the next one now is going to be 10 p.m. tomorrow between Joe and Crypto. That's going to be Realtier Ops V for Joe and Quiet Mining Colony for Crypto. So that'll be big. All right, so some comments here. Always interesting to see what did you have in hand? Cut all the CCT hate. Was over that early verify. Was over after that early verify and Nasimus. I thought you had Hear Me Baby all game until you didn't cancel my ceasefire. Yeah, but yeah, the verify told me you didn't have Han Chewie Falcon. So that's when Matt just said, hey, I'm just going Stinger. This kind of reminds me of like what Hayes said last night about how the last two cards he cut were Enter the Bureaucrat and Hi Have You Now. And I remember we were talking, and one of the things was he's like, oh, I got Enter the Bureaucrat for Legend, because that Legend adds 1. He's like, I don't want them draining 3 at Jakku with the Falcon bonus. And then we're like, wait, the new Legend, we all have brain farts like this, pings instead of adds to a Force drain. So he was kind of like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about Legend draining me for 3 then. I'll cut this, since I'm going to drain for 2, and do something else. And that would have been really helpful in his matchup against Silver Glen with Hitco. So yeah, so I know someone mentioned the possibility of, all the games get played, even if the result's inevitable. Hopefully all 12 get played. We can't force anyone to do it. But I think these games are really interesting between pretty good players and matchups and current meta decks. And of course, all the deck lists are going to be posted. I guess probably early Thursday morning is the goal. We've been doing some things in motion to make sure they're posted as soon as possible. So if people want to copy or adapt decks for the NPC, they can. Yeah, Paul, thank you. I thought it was supposed to be... Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be tomorrow at noon. That's right. I thought it was supposed to be like 2 or 4. Okay. So, yeah, so you guys are tomorrow. I'll update the forum thread for that. But, yeah, they're still talking interesting stuff. No Stunning Leader hate. Like Quite a Mercenary Vig would be an example. It's the only chance to stack this Carbonate Chamber and pray. Yeah, but now it looks like, every game that goes by that USA wins, hopefully for my rooting sake. It makes it more likely that all 12 games get played for my marketing advocate sake, where I think these games are really good outreach for the game. Good showcase, good players, good decks, current decks. Okay. Yeah, so that's going to be Paul's deal versus Legend. That'll be Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And like I said, the next Outrider game will be tomorrow. There's also going to be Jawa Cup at 9 p.m. tomorrow. I'll stream that between Ryan Jellison and Jason. They're just playing one game. Everyone make sure you watch Holo Theater, 9 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday. I think Dan said he's going to be pre-filming a interview with Guest of the Year, Timo Dussel from Germany, Outrider Cup participant, a.k.a. 12-0. So that'll be interesting. Timo's Guest of the Year for a reason. So make sure you tune into that. Or just, at the very least, watch the replays on the YouTube channel. All right, so I'll sign off here. and they're done. All right, everyone, take care. Thanks for joining. Nice solid 1 hour exactly. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.